Are they about to buy Ubisoft? You know, like I don't know, man. That's insane. What's your thoughts?
I mean, my thing was along that same lines, like Ubisoft, Take-Two, maybe EA. I mean, EA would be big, but that would also be a friggin' trigger show because, well, maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe if Microsoft takes EA, we get less loot boxes. Less microtransactions.
That's true.
That might actually be a win.
That might be a big dub.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone into Lighthearted Gamers episode 58. My name is Oxlight with Sparky3. Hopefully you're having an absolutely incredible day. Whatever day you're listening or perhaps watching this podcast at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Sparky3. Make sure to give us a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's keep growing the channel. Be a friend, tell a friend that you're listening or watching. We would definitely greatly appreciate that. First off, happy birthday to the Nintendo GameCube. Just passed 20 years this week. Shout out to that. Love the GameCube. We got a pretty good episode here today. We do. We got some good talking points. I'm really excited for some of the conversations that we have with some possible Xbox purchases. We got Deathloop, probably one of the, in my opinion, probably the biggest gaming leak in history to kind of talk about. We got some good conversation points here, and joining with me as always to have those conversations, I got Zach here in studio. Zach, man, how you feeling today?
I'm doing good. Just waiting for one more year, and I can go drinking with my GameCube.
Yep, that's right. One more year, and you and the GameCube can go out and get a drink together. That's right. Meanwhile, my GameCube is dead in the other room. Gotta get a new one eventually. That is disappointing because I can't tell you how many times I'll look over at my game shelf and I'll just see all my GameCube games. I still own more games for the GameCube than any other console to this day. And I'll just look at them all, I'm like, man, that game sounds like it'd be fun to replay. That one sounds like it'd be fun to replay. Nope, I got a dead GameCube. And I know I could just go out and get a Wii, but I mean, if you're gonna play GameCube, you want the real experience. You know, you want to get a GameCube. You don't want to play it on the Wii.
You know what's bad? When I look at my GameCube, I go, "Hey, I still got the demo disc from Mario Double Carts."
That's right. I did have a demo. Shout out to demo disc, man. That's a throwback, man. I miss the demo disc. We talked about that before where, like I remember the one that I had like the Beautiful Joe and Splinter Cell. I can't remember. There was like 2 or 3 more games on there, but yeah, shout out to demo disc, man. That's a callback there. First and foremost, if you could go follow us at Twitter at LHGamers Podcast. We'd appreciate that follow. You can also go check out my other podcast, Animan Plus. Follow that at Twitter at Animan Podcast. And I also have my new football podcast that just launched here recently. Go follow that at Twitter at Terrible FB Show, where you can get some of the worst opinions in sports, maybe involving, let's say, some fantasy starts and sits and just horrible predictions. But hey, I did get one prediction right for this college Sunday. I did make a prediction that unranked Michigan State was going to beat my squad, Miami, and I called that one to a T because my team looks like dog shit. So I got that one right. The way that I described it is like Michigan State has shown me reasons why they're a good team. Miami has shown me reasons why they're not a good team. So that's basically where we're at on things. But lastly, if you want to support us further, the Patreon is a great way to do so. But don't feel obligated. Just listen to the show, be a friend, tell a friend, subscribe to the channel. That's good enough. But hey, if you got the extra cash you want to throw away, patreon.com/Sparky3 is the place to go to. That will also be down in the description below. All right, let's go ahead and just hop into it. Let's go through some of the quick news and rumors that we have going on, and then we'll jump into all the conversations that we have for this week. We'll kick things off with the rumor mill. As always, we're just reporting these just for your attention in case they could be true later on. They are just rumors. Don't shoot the messengers here. So the first thing we got is Bungie might be working on a Destiny mobile game based on a recent job listing. All right, interesting. There's apparently a Jurassic Park horror FPS game in the works. I think the title I saw was like Lost World Jurassic Park. I think
it's sort of interesting because I saw you pop that on the script, and within the next day, I saw at least 2 articles from other news sources going on and searching if this is an actual thing or not.
Every time I find something, I'm like, ooh, that could be a good one. That's when it starts getting reported. I'm just like, damn it, I need to start tweeting this out more. Need to start doing that. Fire Sprite Studios is apparently reportedly working on a VR Horizon game. Now the little tidbit about this is that it is not Zero Dawn or Forbidden West. So it's just completely a spin-off game based in the Horizon universe that will be VR. So that, I'm sure we'll probably, if that is a thing, I'm sure we will see that next year when, Sony's already confirmed that next year we'll see more about the PSVR 2. So I'd wait for next year on that one. Here's one that I thought, that you might be interested in, Zach. Apparently a Persona 3 remake could be revealed sometime soon. We had kind of talked about that a while back when it came to Persona's 25th anniversary, whatever, and they announced the big, timeline for the next year where there's like be like a bunch of game announcements and whatever, and we were kind of speculating what could come. One thing that I proposed to you, because obviously I just don't know how it would work in Persona, with the games and how they normally do stuff. But one question I did propose is, would they maybe port up the old 3 into like a trilogy, or maybe we would get a remake or whatever. But Persona 3 remake, do you think that could be a possibility?
I mean, yeah, no, it makes sense. I think when you asked me back that, I think I said 3 was a remake because 1 and 2 actually got remakes for the PSP when Persona started becoming real popular over here in the West. So a 3 remake would be understandable. I could definitely see it. 3 is sort of where the whole system for 4 and 5 started, and then there's the second half of 3, which was pretty tedious, which they could have cleaned up.
Okay, gotcha. And I know we're still waiting on the potential like Persona 4 Golden going like console, right? Because that's still just on PS Vita and just Steam now.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, when it comes to that Persona 3 remake, from my understanding, if that's going to happen, we'll know before September's over. That's to my understanding. And the last little thing in the rumor mill, which I thought was kind of interesting, because this is a conversation point that we had a while back when we saw the sales numbers on Age of Calamity. But Koei Tecmo is apparently set to release 2 core Nintendo games in 2022. So Age of Calamity became like their highest selling Warriors game they've ever had, over their main ship franchise of Dynasty Warriors. Which, it's fair. It's a very popular Nintendo IP of Legend of Zelda, in that Warriors style, whatever. The first Warriors game, a spin-off that's a lot of fun, while Age of Calamity is a prequel to obviously popular Breath of the Wild. We had Fire Emblem Warriors that did really well in sales as well. So now it's like they're going to do 2 more potentially. What could it be? Because that was the question that we had a while back. Could it just be another Zelda one? I mean, maybe. I would not think so, because next year is kind of slated for Breath of the Wild 2, and they usually just try to do 1 Zelda game a year. Could it be another Fire Emblem one? That would be cool, because, I mean, hey, get some of the Three Houses characters in there. They obviously wasn't in the last one because the Three Houses wasn't out yet, so that's a possibility. Maybe even a Three Houses sequel, or a prequel or whatever, kind of like they did with Age of Calamity. Maybe, then another one like Star Fox. I think Star Fox would be cool. At least give a little life to the franchise that's basically dead.
What I would love to see was bring back the Donkey Kong 64 crew.
Yo,
beat them up.
Yes. Donkey Kong Warriors. Let's do it, man. Give me Chunky Kong, who's been dead since the 64 game.
Get Cranky out there.
Yes.
Reveal all his secrets that people apparently search.
Yes. You can play as Funky Kong, who, I'm going to pull up that picture that Andy sent us yesterday, because that was hysterical. Our friend, our good friend Andy, just randomly looked up Donkey Kong on Google, and it had a one question. I'm having trouble finding it, actually. Where is it? Did he send it to me?
I think he just sent it to you directly.
Oh yeah, he did. My bad. Okay, yeah, found it. So yeah, he just looked up Donkey Kong, right? And one of the people also asked questions is Funky Kong dead? And it says Funky Kong appeared yet again to stop Judgment Day. Unfortunately, even with the Sprite Cranberry gifted to him by LeBron James, Funky Kong was killed by Pikmin Tails. Who comes up with this shit? But no, a Donkey Kong one would be pretty hype, man. I mean, playing as all the different Kongs, King K. Rool, and other characters that's appeared in the franchise. Maybe a Kirby one. Nintendo likes to give Kirby a push on occasion. Maybe a Mario one. I don't know. Either way, that's going to be really cool to see. If that ends up happening, it's going to be really cool to see.
I would doubt Mario, because they have the second Rabbids Mario Kingdom coming out next year.
That's true. I'm gonna go ahead and put money on it now. Lighthearted Gamers episode 58. We're gonna get another Fire Emblem Warriors. I'm gonna go ahead and put money on that one right now. So I'll loop back to this like a year from now, and we'll see if I'm right. All right, let's hop over to some quick news very briefly here. So the first thing we got up is involving Pokemon Unite has reached 9 million downloads, and keep in mind the mobile version is not out yet. It's coming soon. So shout out to the massive success of Pokemon Unite. Shout out to everyone that's sitting there saying the game is dead. When it is not dead. It's doing pretty well. It's exceeded all expectations. Let's go ahead and say that.
Yes,
it's definitely done that. Game is very fucking frustrating. The matchmaking is so horrendous.
Oh, I've been seeing tons of articles about people not being able to trust their teammates who surrender at the last minute. Then another article about Pokemon Unite players don't want to surrender.
Yeah, dude, man, the matchmaking is so brutal. Like, we've got to get better with the matchmaking in that game. It is so I really enjoy that game, but I absolutely hate playing without you guys. I absolutely hate it. It's an absolute nightmare. So, another piece of news we're going to kind of wrap up from a conversation that we had last week. Because last week, of course, we talked about the PS5 showcase and talking about God of War. One of the little tidbits was this game will wrap up the Norse story, which, kind of caught us a little bit off guard, where it's like, well, we kind of figured it may be a trilogy. That's how a lot of games do. But recently Corey did come out and say that the only reason that it is going to finish the Norse saga is so fans won't have to wait so long to complete this story, because the average development time is 4 to 5 years. So it's like, okay, all right, you know what? Fair enough.
And to be fair, to get through all of the Greek mythos, it took like 6 games.
Yeah. So that's definitely what he's looking at here. It's just like, do we really want to do that again? It's like, probably not. Let's go ahead and just end it now. We'll hop over to maybe, like you pitched, maybe Chinese mythology.
Yeah.
Let's go over to there. Let's have a good time over there. And then of course it is delay season. We got 3 delays lined up for you. The first one, and this one's been delayed, like I think 3 or 4 times from what I saw. But Doki Doki Literature Club, the physical version, is delayed to October 8th now of this year. This is the plus version, whatever. It's already out. I mean, you can already buy it. It's already out digitally. But if you wanted that physical version, it has been delayed an extra few weeks. I think it was actually supposed to come out here in like literally a couple days. So next delay we have up is Dying Light 2 is delayed to February. Jesus Christ. That February is loaded.
Yes, it is.
I feel bad for people that are a fan of every game that's coming out in February. I feel horrible for them. Because, like, luckily for me, with all the games coming out in February, like, if I'm the only one off the top of my head that I know I'm getting is Horizon. The rest of them, they're not really in my wheelhouse. So it's just like, okay, I can not have my wallet be murdered in 1 month. But for people that might be a fan of all, like, the 6 big titles in February, I feel bad for you guys. That's not going to be a good month. And there was also a delay on Battlefield 2042. That was only delayed a few weeks to November 19th, which I got to say, when the news started to break from some insiders that, hey, the game is being delayed, but they didn't specify how long. They didn't say, oh, just be a few weeks, don't worry. Dude, EA stock price is fucking plummeted.
Oh, I'm not surprised, because people were really looking for 2042. Luckily, it only pushed back about just under a month. So
yeah, I mean, dude, they lost a lot of money in stock prices. That's EA got hit hard. So, really no big deal there. I mean, like you said, it is just a couple weeks, so it is what it is. All right, let's hop over and let's have some good conversations here today, ladies and gentlemen. So first up, this past week we did have the release of Deathloop coming out on the PS5 and PC. Zach here did pick it up for PC to give it a shot. Zach, how has Deathloop been treating you? Because from what I've seen, I know, you kind of told me privately of a few possible, game issues, whatever. But from what I've seen, the game is being reviewed and everyone's saying it's actually a really good game and it's exceeded a lot of expectations. Is that the same for you? And what's your thoughts on it?
Most definitely. Like, Deathloop itself, the game and just its whole thing going on in mechanics, it is a just fantastic, fun game. The one thing I do say about it, though, because I've seen some other just player reviews complain about it, is it's a game, if you want to actually enjoy it, you have to be willing to experiment with the game system and the different loadouts and whatnot. Because if you're just going to go in like a regular shooter and just bang, 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 follow the leads to kill the visionaries and just run straight through it and aren't willing to play with the world, don't pick up the game. It's not worth it, because it's a very quick...
That's good to know.
If you're just going to do that, it's just a quick run through for the visionaries.
If you're set in your ways, the game's not going to be for you.
Yeah.
Got you.
Because, like, one of the dumb things I was able to do early on before getting all the 4 unlocking powers and whatnot was there's a shop that's just called Candy, and it's just filled with a bunch of gumball machines.
Nice. I
kicked a gumball machine and drove a bunch of gumballs on the board. I'd open a door, and one of the what they're called internalists, just the normal walkers around, goes, "That's strange. Was that always open?" Walks in, hits the gumballs, and just falls on his ass. I was just like, I don't know when else I'm ever going to use this, but that's nice to know.
That's actually really funny.
I just picture me in a firefight, see a bumblebee, boom, see her so fall turn around.
That's absolutely amazing.
So, I mean, there's things in the environment that if you're willing to play with the world and whatnot, it's a very fun game. Like, which you mentioned, I picked it up on PC because it is only on PlayStation 5 and PC at the time being. It will not release on any other systems until September of next year. So it's a whole year on those two. And again, if you are wanting to pick it up, if you have one, I would highly suggest the PlayStation 5 at this point versus PC, because one of the big things that people have been hating about the PC is the game engine that Arcane uses for Deathloop. It does not sit right on PCs. It messes up the frames and whatnot, causes screen stuttering, things like that. Eats up CPU for not top of the line rigs. Even high dollar rigs still have frame stuttering and whatnot trying to run.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, that's good to know.
So I mean, if you're real set on PC and frame rates, I would hold off on Deathloop until some patches come out and it fixes it eventually. If you honestly don't care about frames and just want to enjoy the game, by all means pick it up. Or if wait for Black Friday, where it'll probably be like
on sale.
probably be on sale like $10-$20 off probably.
It fits in that niche of, okay, yeah, that game will probably be on sale at Black Friday. You can always predict what will be on sale.
Well, as you said, it's reviewed very highly, because even the reviews of players who are complaining about the frame rates are almost all of them mentioning it's a fun game in and out from the bits they've touched, but the frame rates just kill it for them, so they're just going to set it down and come back to it once that's fixed. But very few have I had just say they just absolutely dislike the game, and it's mostly people who I said just run through it, follow leads, kill everyone, and aren't willing to
experiment.
Yeah, play with the world.
I will say, like, I've seen a lot of people that, like what you're saying, has experimented really, like, say that, hey, this is a great game, exceed a lot of expectations, whatever, blah blah. The critics, are giving this game like some really high ratings, but then this game, unfortunately, this is still a culture that we are very much in. This game is getting very heavily user bombed.
Yeah.
So based on how you're talking and based, just from the little bit you've told me privately and here on the show, I feel like the user bombs are probably the people that not necessarily experiment. Because I follow one particular person on Twitter who just, he does a pretty good job tweeting out some news and stuff. And he picked up the game, and he was complaining about losing like a golden gun or something after dying, and literally everyone in the comments was just like, the way that the situation he explained, everyone said, yo, dude, that's literally in the tutorial. Like,
yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, that's literally in the tutorial. Like, you why didn't you just watch that? So I feel like the user bombing that's happening for Deathloop right now is, one, a mix of Xbox players potentially being salty. Let's be real. And two, I guess people that's not experimenting.
I mean, that sort of amazes me, because like the first good hour, depending on how quickly you're running through it, is literally just tutorial, introducing you to all the systems.
Right.
Because more or less the base setup is you wake up on a beach, you pick up stuff, you get killed, you wake up on the beach again. And it's just a constant loop. So the main game base is you're following leads to ideally kill the 8 visionaries to break the loop, so you can free yourself from this constantly looping day. The trick is, though, you only get there's 4 zones, and there's 4 times a day. You're not timed or anything. Once you're in a zone, it's going to stay at that time of day until you leave the zone. So if you want, just play around as much as you want. But each zone is set up differently based on what time of day you go there, and anything you've possibly done that's impactful enough in the previous areas during the day. And once you finish a day, it resets. You wake up on that beach again, and you lose everything. The way to prevent that is there's a resource called Residium. That's just an items off visionaries you kill and things like that you collect. And at the end of the day, if you survive, because I haven't died too often with a lot of loot, but most of the time when you die, you lose everything.
Right.
But luckily the game's nice, and you get 3 chances. You get 3 chances in each zone to die. If you die a 3rd time, well, you're screwed up. But when you get to the last portion of the day, it's just like, all right, here's everything you've collected today. Use whatever residium you want to keep your loadout. So you can go right back to the start of the beach, continue on with whatever loadout you have. So if you have a gun you really like, lock it in, keep it for the next day. So, I mean, it's a fun system. I've enjoyed messing around as I have acquired powers.
Mm-hmm.
You get so many more options to play around with. My favorite ability so far is the shift ability, which is just a short range teleport.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoy it because I like running around with just a machete and
right on.
What's
going old school
with the machete and the magnum, which I can't think of what the magnum's called right this moment. So I'm literally just shifting, cutting people, shift again, shoot.
Right.
And it's always entertaining because you can dual wield, so I can have a machete in one hand, gun in the other.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
So yeah, no, the game's very enjoyable if you're really willing to mess around and experiment in the world, see what all you can ideally do. And like one of the big things I've said since we started talking about Deathloop is if you can move like they show in the trailers, and besides the bit of frame rates that sort of kills it about, can just about, if you control it right, do the movements they were showing off in the trailers of just move, kill, shift, kill, move, switch, go.
That's good to know, because I remember when Deathloop was like really first revealed, I actually remember you saying to me, maybe on this show or privately, that was one of your questions about the game. I remember you saying like, yeah, if you can actually move like they're showing, this game's gonna be pretty fun. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, just because just quick movement and being able to use the environment well, I always enjoy that in games.
Yeah.
And being to experiment and just play with it and see what happens.
Right. Now, this might be a dumb question, but how much is like, because I know they are, but how much is other players in a big factor in this? Because from what I've seen online, is like people can just come in and just fuck your shit up and just kind of ruin your day. Is that pretty much how it is all the time, or only some of the time, or what?
Well, you can actually turn it off if you really don't want to mess with it. Because what that's referencing,
that'd be good for Andy.
Yeah, what that's referencing is the other character, Juliana. She's the only other character in the game in Viewpoint. Only your character, Colt, and Juliana are the only ones who retain memories from every loop.
Okay.
So they're the only ones aware of each day going through. And once you get to the main game, you can go and play Protect the Loop, where you play as Juliana, and it just puts you in people's games to murder them. And the only reason really to do that is just you want to mess with something other than single player, and by doing that, you increase your hunter rank, which unlocks outfits for both Colt and Juliana. And I mean, it's can be annoying, but it can also be very fun because it becomes a thing of Juliana's whole thing is she can disguise herself as any of the NPCs in the game, but Juliana gets only one life, where as Colt you have 3. I mean, if a Juliana manages to get in your game and just picks up a rifle or something and able to hide from you, yeah, sort of cheeky and not much you can do about it. But I mean, so far I haven't been reset too badly. I think only one time was it real bad, but it was a quick fix of just quickly run through. Because, as I said, it is a time loop game. Things pretty much progress the same way. It was just a pain of just repeating a good 15-20 minutes, but wasn't too bad. But it can be fun because it's very much a game of what other people said, cat and mouse, of you figuring out where Juliana is, trying to outwit the Juliana to kill them before they kill you 3 times. And the game even just gives you a know that, hey, someone's here. It literally pops up in the middle of the screen, Juliana's on the hunt, and you're just like, okay.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And I mean, even in the tutorial it mentions it, the only time Juliana will actually appear is in a zone where a visionary is.
Okay.
So you don't really have to worry about it if there's no visionary in the area. But if you're trying to hunt down on one, I mean, it can become annoying. But you sort of have to deal with it anyway because she's technically one of the visionaries. So you got to fight her regardless in a loop.
Okay. Pretty solid game on PlayStation only by an Xbox company, right?
Yeah, I mean, Bethesda, Arcane, they pumped out a really good game. The only other thing I really want to mention with it is just it doesn't do a traditional storytelling. there is a story going on between all the dialogue between Colt and Juliana, since they're always on the radio together. But if you actually want to dive into the actual stories of each of the characters, Colt, Juliana, and the other visionaries, you actually have to be willing to look around and collect like documents, terminal messages, and audio logs if you actually want to find out why each of these people are actually here on this island and what's overall going on. Because the main story overall is just, if you don't look at that stuff, is Colt just having amnesia, figuring out what the heck's going on, trying to break the loop so he can get done with this bullshit.
You just get it over with and move on with his life.
Pretty much. Colt wakes up, he gets killed by Juliana once, and he's just like, fuck this shit.
This is fucking stupid. I hate this.
Yeah, pretty much. Colt's a very unenjoyable character.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of the gist that I've gathered online too, is that he's actually a pretty dope character.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because like in the very first part where Juliana, more or less during the tutorial, Juliana's just like, you can find your own way out, and you got. And the best part about it is, if you see in videos and whatnot, it shows like these white words just popping up everywhere, sort of like directing the player. Colt sees that.
Like the actual words popping up.
He actually sees that crap, and he addresses it.
That's great.
So like the first time it really happened, she's like, what is this shit? Am I losing my mind? And it's great because when he first wakes up, he's just like, where am I? Who am I? And he's walking around, and just at one point, it just starts pointing out, Colt, 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 Colt. Colt? Is that me? Yeah, that's gotta be me. I'm Colt. And Juliana's like, are you finally back? I was like, yeah, this is Colt. They have Juliana and Colt have a very good interactions. And Colt's character is very entertaining, especially with the words he's saying, and they just address all of it. So yeah, it's very enjoyable dialogue and everything. And just even the bits of audio logs and things like that you find are also very enjoyable because they do it in a way for each of the characters to really engross the characters with the very little audio dialogue you hear from each of them while you're hunting them down.
So how many, okay, last two questions for me on this. How many hours have you dumped into this already? And with the time that you have played, if you had to just like give it a rating, what would you give it? Because obviously I know you would tell people to kind of hold off on buying until some patches are out if you're going to play it on PC, but I mean, what kind of rating would you give this thing?
As for my current rating, I would probably give it an 8 out of 10 personally, mostly just for my experience on the PC and the whole stuttering. Once that gets patched out, I'd probably give it an easy 9. As for how many hours I've put in currently, I've only put in about 8 or so in between work and stuff like that. So I think I'm like midway into the game in terms of actually killing off all the visionaries in a single loop. But
gotcha. And keyword, he said easy 9, so that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. Sounds like they really created a pretty good game. Bethesda and Arcane did. Let's jump over to our next topic, which does involve, it kind of involves, Xbox Studios, of course. So we talked about this briefly, very, very briefly, many months back, right? After the Bethesda purchase was finalized. Once that purchase was done, set in stone, whatever, we were seeing a lot of reports from insiders saying that, Xbox is gearing up for another big purchase. And they were saying that this next one is going to be greater than Bethesda, where it's like, okay, I mean, yes, there are studios greater than Bethesda, but that's big.
That's a lot of money.
That's a good, and that's a point as well. It's like, when we're saying greater Bethesda, do we just mean the money? Do we mean like, the studio? It's going to be big, obviously. But now there's been some new rumors kind of popping up right now where it's just like, that it's gearing up to be announced. Because initially when this came out, the initial reaction, the initial news was like, it'll either be announced at the end of 2021 or beginning of 2022. So these kind of popping out now, it makes sense that we're potentially gearing up for it. So who could it be? Obviously with the Bethesda purchase, that hit a lot of PlayStation players in the gut because, they're not going to get Starfield. Doesn't seem like they're going to get any more new Fallouts or Elder Scrolls, at least from what Xbox and Microsoft are saying. Deathloop was a already agreed upon game as well as Ghostwire Tokyo. But man, who could it be? Who could it be that this giant purchase could be involved with? I don't know why, but for some reason, it's sticking out to me because when it's saying greater than Bethesda, it's like, who all is going to be greater than Bethesda besides like the main 3 publishers? You know what I mean? The ones that make consoles. Besides those, who is greater than Bethesda? I mean, there are some, but they're very rare and in between. So is Microsoft like, are they about to buy Take-Two? Are they about to buy Ubisoft? Like, I don't know, man. That's insane. What's your thoughts?
I mean, my thing was along that same lines, like Ubisoft, Take-Two, maybe EA. I mean, EA would be big, but that would also be a friggin' trigger show because, well, maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe if Microsoft takes EA, we get less loot boxes. Less microtransactions.
That's true.
That might actually be a win.
That might be a big dub.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking something like that. I know I jokingly said they're going to take Sony.
Oh, yeah, you did. See, I will say some of my initial thoughts before we got like the sayings that, it's going to be bigger than Bethesda. Some of my initial thoughts is, they're going to buy like Capcom. They're going to buy Sega. Sega was one of my top ones. I really thought, like, I still think it's possible down the line that Microsoft will swoop in and buy Sega. Someone will buy Sega. Eventually. It's just a matter of who. Personally, I would just like to see Nintendo buy them. That's my personal opinion. But but greater than Bethesda, I mean, man, I for some reason, Take-Two is sticking out to me. I don't know why. I want to believe not, because of how Take-Two has like so many different things they have going on where they don't need to be purchased. I mean, Bethesda didn't either. But it's just like, with Rockstar under their umbrella, all the 2K stuff that they do, they don't, it's like, okay, well, you can really stand on your own. So I don't know, maybe Ubisoft. I think, with the amount of drama that Ubisoft was dealing with last year, they're kind of in a rocky spot, kind of makes sense. Imagine that, dude. Imagine Microsoft comes in and buys Ubisoft. Imagine Assassin's Creed being an Xbox exclusive going forward. Assassin's Creed Infinity that we've talked about, this online hub game, whatever, being an Xbox exclusive. That would be insane.
Would it?
I would safely assume it would be. I mean, they're not willing to share the Bethesda stuff, if they're, and especially if it's going to be a shit ton of money like Bethesda was. If it's going to, like, they're not going to share the properties. They're just not. If you're spending that much money for whatever you're buying, you're not going to share the properties.
Well, I don't know. I mean, buying Ubisoft would be a great boon for Microsoft and making their games exclusive, but specifically Assassin's Creed, I don't know. Everyone's still on the fence about Infinity. We'll see how that goes.
That is true.
Ubisoft licenses in general, though, would be good, though.
Yeah. That and Far Cry, too.
Yeah. And Ubisoft's also Siege.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yep.
Oh, man. All right, I'm gonna take the money line. I'm gonna take Ubisoft. That's who they're gonna buy. Whenever this purchase does happen, if it is like we are assuming from everything that we've heard about, pretty much on 2 different occasions this year, I'm looking forward to seeing how much the internet's gonna explode from it. I'm gonna go ahead and put money on Ubisoft.
Curious, what would you think about if they took BioWare?
Ooh, well, hang on. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess they could technically do that. They would just have to work out a deal with EA, right? Because BioWare is just under EA, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they just have to work out a deal. I mean, I would be cool with that. But
that also, I thought of that, but at the same time, I was like, would you consider that greater than Bethesda? I mean, BioWare has some good games, but
maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years ago.
So I mean, I threw that out there, but at the same time, I was like, would BioWare consider better than Bethesda right now?
No, not today. 10 years ago, maybe they'd be in contention. No, it'll be interesting to see, man. I'm pumped up for it. Just because, hey, shout out to Xbox for no longer taking some shit, because they took a lot of shit Xbox One generation of having no exclusives. Who has exclusives now, motherfuckers?
Still PlayStation 5.
Yeah, I know.
I do find it funny that I didn't even mention it last week, but during the Sony showcase of PlayStation 5, all the exclusives they showed, not a single one was for this year.
Yeah, I know, man. Their big launch for this year is just fucking Deathloop, an Xbox game. Oh, dude, what a meme! Because we like at this point they have since we had the showcase, it's already come and gone. Sony has officially thrown in the towel for this holiday. It's just like we got nothing.
I mean, we joke about that, but Deathloop turned out pretty good. So
it did. The only other thing for Sony that's coming out this year is gonna be, in my opinion, somewhat kind of big, even though it's an indie game. It's just Kena Bridge of Spirits that's coming out literally a few days. But other than that, I can't think of anything else that's actually coming out this year for them.
You know what might come out though?
Huh?
Supposed N64 on the Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah. So, okay, we talked about the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color, just, a few, last week before.
Yeah.
This came originally from insider, Nate Drake, known as Nate the Hate, and then Eurogamer kind of put out an article.
Really? His name's Nate Drake?
From what I read online, yes, Nate Drake. I'm assuming that's just me making an assumption.
I mean,
the name everyone knows him
as Nathan Drake now. Thanks.
I mean, you're welcome.
So I just pictured Nathan Drake with a fucking pencil, pocket protectors, some glasses on a keyboard, ready. I'm here to search for my shit.
Listen. I could be wrong on that name. All right, because this is one of those faceless, YouTubers, faceless, content creators. So I could be wrong on that. I just read that in an article. I'm just making a big assumption.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that name. It's just it makes me think of Nathan Drake.
So if people are listening and I'm wrong, my bad. All right, I read it in an article. Okay, Nate the Hate is what people know him as.
Okay.
But anyway, he's the one that initially kind of put that out. Then Eurogamer kind of doubled down on it, and Eurogamer also doubled down, saying, there are more retro consoles in the cards, which brought us to a question. What does that mean? Yeah. Does that mean the classic? Does that mean online? Well, just here recently, Nate the Hate put out another hour-long episode along with MVG talking about it, where Nate's just like, okay, yeah, Eurogamer did put that out, so I'm here to address Eurogamer. I'm here to address everyone about what that means. It does mean N64 is on the way. So that's a really interesting conversation, because it's something that we already kind of touched on before, and it's something I feel like we've talked about a couple times, because one of the big aspects about this is the rumblings of a premium tier coming, a second version of Nintendo Switch Online, where it's just you pay for this version for $20 a year like we are right now, and you pay for another version for X amount of dollars a year, and you get so much more content. Because at the end of the day, Nintendo likes their money. We know this. Yeah. We know this with how they release anything. That they go full price. That's how they are. So it's kind of the same thing here, is that they probably see what they have in Nintendo Switch Online. It's we have 100+ games of our classic catalog that we're giving to you for $20 a year. We could make more money off of this, you know what I mean? And I know a lot of people in the fandom and the community, they really dog pile on Nintendo when they release new games, because at this point in time, whenever Nintendo does release new games that online every few months, it's pretty bottom of the barrel.
Is it?
Yeah, it's been pretty shitty for a while, because they launched with a majority of the good stuff, and keep in mind, there's still good stuff they have not released yet. Keep that in mind. Like the Super Nintendo, for example. There's still some really notable titles that they have not launched online, but when the online launched, it already had a lot of them. It already had a majority of the big ones. It had Super Metroid, Super Mario Kart, whatever. It had Super Mario World, it had Link to the Past. It had all the big ones already, but I think Super Mario RPG is one that was actually missing. But like I said, for the past year, it's every few months, it's just really dumb, stupid titles. It's that was a game. I had no idea. It's one of those bullshit little indie games almost. Yeah. But with N64 potentially coming, man, I could see that premium tier. If they're going to launch N64 for Nintendo Switch Online, I do think there's going to be a premium tier. I really do. And it's going to allow access to some of the better games, whatever. And it's just a matter of when. Is it is Game Boy and Game Boy Color going to come out in first and by itself, and N64 later? And also talking about this, one little thing that kind of came out that gives some more speculation, I guess more credibility to Nate the Hate and Eurogamer and everything, is that recently Nintendo did file an FCC listing for a new controller for their Switch. The model number was HAC043. Now the interesting about this is that HAC042 was the wireless Super Nintendo controller that they released to be used for Nintendo Switch Online, prompting people to think that this 43 model is just the N64, a wireless controller, right?
You know what it really is?
What?
It's the freaking gun.
Oh, please no. Please no.
Suddenly you got Duck Hunt on there everywhere again.
No. Here's the real kicker. The 043 is the Virtual Boy. the Virtual Boy controller. It's just like, all right, boys. Hey, remember Labo? Bust that cardboard out. Yeah, put that on. Like, here's your Virtual Boy controller. We're about to give people headaches all over again. Let's really throw it back.
Oh man.
Now, involving the N64 and the GBA and GBC, one conversation that we had is that, okay, kind of disappointing. There's no GBA. Yeah. But I saw someone point this out. And once I read it, I'm just like, that's a good point. Is maybe the reason why there's not going to be GBA and, like, let's say N64 will come later, because think about it. With Super NES, Game Boy Color, they released Game Boy and Game Boy Color, and that's kind of the cutoff point for that era of gaming. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So after that, you get into the 3D era, where you're going to get the N64, potentially the GameCube, shout out to the 20th anniversary. And then, more, not obviously 3D, but, better graphics of the GBA. So that was a good point where it's just like, that's the cutoff. It's like one era's done and on their servers, whatever. Now we're starting the new era with N64. With the N64 potentially coming, do you think, I know we've had this conversation before, but I mean, do you believe there's going to be like a higher paid subscription?
I mean, I would not be surprised by it if Nintendo. Something like that did happen, if they were planning on doing something like that. Because, yeah, it would take a bit more to pay to keep those polygons on their servers. So, yeah, I mean, if we see Game Boy and maybe Game Boy Color released and stacked at that same tier with what we currently have on Game Boy or Nintendo Switch Online, if they do then bring in the next generation of Nintendo stuff, possibly a higher tier. I cannot say for sure though, because it's Nintendo. They might not. They may just release another game again just to make money again. So
see, you're so right saying that, because like when it comes to Nintendo, just when you think you figured them out, just when you were just like, okay, this is exactly what they're gonna do because it makes so much fucking sense, then they go the complete opposite direction. Nintendo goes by the beat of their own drum, man.
Yeah, then they just release, hey, we're releasing a whole new 64 for all those collectors out there who want it.
Right.
It's got like 40 plus games on it. Here you go, kids.
Yeah. What would you rather have? Would you rather have like that classic, or would you rather just it be on the Nintendo Switch Online?
If it was online, I'd be probably more likely to get it versus the classic.
If the classic comes out, dope. I have the Super Nintendo Classic. It's cool. I like it. If the 64 Classic came out, cool. But the problem is, especially with how much it's gotten worse for the last year, that thing would be scalped so damn quick.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
I mean, it would just be a pain in the ass to get. So 100%, I'd rather just be online. But, like, the problem with it being online is, like, how many dope titles they're going to put on there, because we've seen what they've done with NES and Super NES, So, I mean, I imagine it'll launch with this conversation, this also was a thought process on why the Super Mario 3D All-Stars was a limited run of 1 year. Mm-hmm. Because with Super Mario 64 and maybe Mario Sunshine, we just assumed that they would want to put it on a virtual space at some point, which then the physical 3D All-Stars kind of loses its value in a way. So I mean, the game would probably launch with like at least Ocarina of Time. I don't know if it'd launch with Majora's, Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, but then it's like, what else is going to be on there? Star Fox 64, probably.
Kirby's Adventure.
Yeah, the Kirby Crystal Shards, I think is what it was. Yoshi Story. Yo, I love Yoshi Story.
Yoshi Story was good.
Yoshi Story was so fantastic.
I was sort of a piece of shit kid, and I didn't understand platformers. So my entire goal was to kill all the Yoshis.
Oh, that's mean. That's the worst.
I had no idea what I was doing.
Did you also like go and unlock the black and white Yoshi?
Again, I had no idea what I was doing.
Okay. That was always one of my first things I would do, is just let's kind of grind through to unlock the black and white Yoshi, and just like, oh, cool, unlockable colors. Let's play those now. But I mean, it will be super super cool to see what they do with it. I mean, I think it just makes too much sense just to go ahead and pay create this higher subscription tier. It makes too much damn sense. They're gonna make money off of it. They know they are. So I don't know, but it's Nintendo we're talking about.
What makes more sense though? Making another Mario Land.
yeah, make another Mario Land. Same thing with the Wario Land, right?
I mean, maybe.
Yeah. When it comes to Wario games, you have your fandoms that love WarioWare, but then there's the Wario Land players that's just like, hey, can we please get another game?
No.
Hey, shout out to Wario World, man. Wario World on the GameCube was honestly low-key really good, and not a lot of people played that game. And, the GameCube reaching its 20th anniversary, it makes you feel a little bit old, you know. Well, we're getting up there in age, not, you know, kind of so. But yeah, 20 years with the GameCube, man. It's kind of hard and kind of not to acknowledge, like, okay, yes, that is a retro console. It's like, okay, we're at that point in life. Like I mentioned earlier, I have more GameCube games than any other console currently. At one point in time, I had more than I currently have. I mean, I had like almost 50 to 60 something GameCube games at one point in my life. I loved GameCube, man.
How'd you get rid of them, man?
I was a kid. I don't know. Probably sold them at Hastings or something to get another game. I have no idea. I mean, I kept a lot of the
Imagine
important
all that money
ones.
you threw away.
I know. Well, okay, debatable, because it's not like they were like high tier titles. All right, you know what I mean? It's like The Hobbit. Like, for example, I don't think The Hobbit's running for a lot of money.
I still got my copy of Shrek 2.
God damn it. I mean, yeah, I gave up a lot of games. I didn't give up like any of the key titles, obviously. Like, I still have pretty much all of them. But I mean, dude, shout out to the GameCube era, though. I mean, it has, like, what, in my opinion, fuck you, Jared, the best Zelda game to ever come out with Twilight Princess. It's also just a great era for Zelda, because it had like 5 different Zelda titles that basically came out on it. Because you had Wind Waker, phenomenal. Twilight Princess, the best. Fuck you, Jared. It had the Ocarina of Time with the Master Quest, which was the harder mode. It had the Four Swords Adventures, which is really fun. Fuck anyone who does not think so. And then it had the Collector's Disc that had the first 2, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. So great era for Zelda on that one. Mario Sunshine, I still say is the best. I don't know if I'll call it the best, but it's definitely my favorite.
And here I spent most of my time playing Pokemon Coliseum, not Coliseum, but
Gale.
Yeah. No, it was the first one, not Gale.
Okay. I have both of those. Love those games.
And then also playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Kingdoms.
I have that. Love that too. Yeah, Pokemon Coliseum. Man, I would love to get, like, you know, those 2 brought up into a port, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that'd be so fun. I loved Coliseum and Gale of Darkness.
Coliseum was really weird, though. The whole having to go freaking bribe Celebi to undark your Pokemon.
Right.
So that they're actually useful. And then the whole concept of, hey, I'm now stealing other trainers' Pokemon.
Yeah, it's like, give me your shit. Give me your shit, kid. Kick him in the nuts. Knock him over. Give me your Pokemon. I'm the new Team Rocket.
And you have that female friend who's sort of like, oh, we're saving the Pokemon. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. No, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game was super fun, too. Honestly, that era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Games was really cool, man, because you had the Falsebound Kingdom on GameCube. You had the Duels of Roses on the PS2, and I cannot remember the Xbox one. What was that one called? Do you remember?
I do not remember.
But I know that one came with Winged Dragon of Ra. I remember that. So as a kid, I was big hyped to get a God card in a game.
Yeah, because I remember playing Duelist of Roses a lot too.
That was a great game.
And then freaking GameCube Metabots game. Did you ever play that?
Yeah, I had the Metabots game, dude. You know, some kind of like random titles like Metabots. The Zatch Bell game, Zatch Bell Momoto Battles. That was actually a really fun game. Shout out to Zatch Bell. Hopefully I unlocked a core memory for you. Let's see. Double Dash is still one of my favorite Mario Karts, if not my favorite. I loved the 2-person dynamic. I mean, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it's cool because it's like, you know, you got some cool guest characters like Link. Playing as Link is really nice. You get bikes, you know, the 4-wheelers and everything. Like, that's cool. Yeah. But man, Double Dash, having like the dynamic of having 2 people, plus, those cars in that game was sick. I loved Waluigi's car. Dude, that thing was so cool. Luigi's Mansion, obviously.
Yeah.
Great game there. And then Metroid. Let's talk about Metroid. Metroid Prime 2.
I don't want to.
Fuck you. I'm going to. Metroid Prime 2 really putting a whole new dynamic on, Metroid franchise. Still waiting for 4, obviously. They announced that game way too early.
Yep.
But Metroid Prime is still, like, held as, like, one of the best GameCube games ever. One game that I never played that I want to play so badly now because I'm into the franchise now is the Fire Emblem game. But dude, that game is so hard to get a hold of.
I don't remember which Fire Emblem.
That one was. It's either Path of Radiance or Radiant Dawn, because the one was a sequel on the Wii. I think it was Path of Radiance was the GameCube one, where that was Ike's first game, and then Radiant Dawn, the sequel, was Ike's second game.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I would love to play that game now that I am a fan of Fire Emblem. But man, that is like out of all the GameCube games that I still hunt for, that's the one where it's like I'll look it up every once in a while. I'm just like, yeah, there's no chance I'm gonna be able to buy you anytime soon. There's no chance.
I mean, what is it, like $200?
Yeah, like 200, 300. If you know, and then like prices like to just get the disc is like 150 plus. It's just like, oh my god, guys, you're killing me. One of the most expensive GameCube games that I bought was Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2. Love that game, man. Love that game. It's really interesting for that game, because the reason why that one's so expensive is because that game also came out for the Xbox.
Yep.
But the Xbox version is literally obsolete.
Yeah, because it ran on servers.
Yeah, and that's what killed it, because even the offline story mode ran on servers.
Yep.
Because I as I didn't own it yet, and I would just rent it from Hastings, whatever. And one day at Hastings they were out of the GameCube version. Someone rented it, so I was like, whatever, I'll rent the Xbox version. I couldn't fucking play it because I didn't have internet. I couldn't go online. I'm like, well, that's fucking stupid. I mean, that's dumb.
Yep.
So once Microsoft killed their servers, like the GameCube version just shot up in price. And one of my favorite things to show people, because like Phantasy Star, like while it is a notable franchise, but it's not like towards the top. Not everyone knows about it per se. When it comes to that particular game and franchise, literally almost nobody knows about the abomination that is the keyboard GameCube controller. I love showing that to people. There's like, oh yeah, yes. There's like, because I tell them about it, and they're like, "There's no way that was a thing. There's no way Nintendo made that." And I'll pull it. It's a full fucking keyboard with the GameCube controllers at the end. I want one so bad, just for collective purposes, because that was the only like online game for GameCube. You'd go some roundabout way to get it online, but either way. But yeah, man, shout out to the GameCube, dude. Phenomenal era, dude. So many great games. Looking back on this last question, with the for the GameCube here, what would be your favorite GameCube game looking back? Because obviously mine's straightforward. It's Twilight Princess. I love Twilight Princess. Like I'm all about it. What was your favorite GameCube game?
I'm honestly trying to think. I honestly cannot remember. I mean, the game I put the most time into was probably Melee. Yeah,
I was just about to plug Melee, because I feel like I would be murdered if I was talking about GameCube and did not mention Melee. But yeah, I probably put the most time into Melee.
Yeah, because I think overall I logged like almost a good 200 hours into Melee.
Yeah.
Never unlocked Mewtwo because I never played 20 straight, but I've logged in a lot of times.
That was also a very good era for Sonic games too, because
Oh yeah, there was a lot of Sonic Adventures and Sonic Heroes.
Yeah, I have almost every game that came out in the GameCube.
And Sonic Wave Drivers. Well, for whatever reason, why we got that.
Yeah, because that was the Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 ports that came up, and then you had Sonic Heroes, of course, the Sonic Mega Collection, which had a lot of the old games, Sonic Gems Collection, which had more of the old games that wasn't in the Mega Collection, and then Sonic Riders, which Sonic Riders is actually fun. I like those characters, Jet, Wave, and Storm. Yeah, I like those games. I'm just a Sonic fan, but with that said, I don't have a lot of hope for Sonic Rangers. That's what it was.
I mean, everyone's been enjoying the remake or Colors that just released.
Yeah, they're enjoying it all right, that's for sure. Oh man, that's apparently like held as like a really good 3D Sonic game, one of the last good ones they made. So for this port to come out with like seizure style things happening on the Switch, that doesn't put the game in a good light, and it makes me very worried for Rangers next year. Jesus Christ, dude. Okay, let's hit our final topic of the day. So this one's like, how does this happen? You know what I mean? Like, how does this happen, dude? Because from what I read, it wasn't even that hard to get into. So in my opinion, I mean, people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is potentially the biggest gaming leak in gaming history. I could be wrong. There might be something I'm forgetting, but because this leak covers so many titles that are unannounced. Now, granted, they're not all for sure to come out, but still, I think that alone makes this credible for like the biggest gaming leak in history. So Nvidia, the database for Nvidia was recently hacked into very easily, mind you. Apparently, all you have to do is like unlock your GeForce Now is all you had to do, and they got into the database. Like, that seems stupidly easy. So of course, with the remote work that we've had over the past year and a half now, going on 2 years, a lot of developers working from home, they're using like Nvidia servers to work on games, test different things. Because one example, is in this database. You'll find, I think it's New Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario Galaxy, one of the two, because they're on an Nvidia cloud over in China. So, I mean, that's just how it is. You know, everyone's doing stuff on the cloud now to work on their games. So when hacking into this database, there were so many unannounced titles, as well as unannounced titles for PC potentially. And it's just like, dude, this list is astonishing. So let's kind of run through some of the stuff that was announced. And mind you, the stuff I'm about to call out, yo, it doesn't even scratch the fucking surface of what was on this list. So some first things that was on that I want to shout out is some PC ports that are apparently on the way potentially of God of War, Returnal, Ghost of Tsushima, and Demon Souls. These are all things that we would expect, especially God of War. I would say God of War is probably the one that's coming after the Nathan Drake one, the Nathan Drake Uncharted collection. We know that's coming. Like Sony's already confirmed that's coming to Steam, so God of War is probably going to be next, because, you know, that's a conversation we've had before of where, like, hey, is Sony going to really make their own client on PC and build their own base on PC as well? I will say there was no mention of Spider-Man or Bloodborne, two other kind of popular Sony titles. But then other things that was on there, the GTA Trilogy remasters, 3 Vice City and San Andreas, all mentioned, of course. BioShock 2022. That's interesting. That is very interesting to what they could be working on over there. A code name of Fight for Middle Earth, which obviously just being a new Lord of the Rings game. Hopefully this is not just like some random like one-off game reboot. Hopefully this is actual like third game to the two that we had.
You know, Fight for Middle Earth just makes me think of was it Middle Earth, Battle for Middle Earth? Do you remember that? It was a third-person over-the-shoulder action team fighter.
Maybe not that. The only ones that I immediately think of.
Was it called Conquest? It might have been called Conquest.
It might have been called that, because like the only Middle Earth games that immediately come to my head was the last two that we had, where it's like the Shadows of Mordor or whatever, and the Ghost of Mordor, I think, whatever it was.
I mean, I'd be happy for third game in that series, but Fight for Middle Earth just makes me think of the team-based fighter. It was more or less like a Team Fortress 2 Lord of the Rings is what it was. It was
when did that come out?
It was on the
like 360 maybe?
360 PS3 area. I'm pretty sure it was either called Battle for Middle Earth or Middle Earth Conquest.
Okay. I know in that era you also had War for the North, which is apparently a phenomenal game.
It was very fun.
Yeah, that's one that I never played, but I've heard from like Andy and Nick that game is just absolutely just incredible. Hopping down from there, going to the rest of the list, Half-Life 2 Remastered, which that would be very interesting. Obviously, fans have clamored for Half-Life 3 like forever, and we had Half-Life Alyx. I feel like at this point, they're afraid to make Half-Life 3 because the expectations on it. You know what I mean?
Valve just can't count to 3 as everyone is designated, so.
That's fair. That's fair. Titan Quest 2, Payday 3, Kingdom Hearts 4. That's an unannounced one there. Monster Hunter 6, Street Fighter 6, Judgment with, they'll have mouse and keyboard support, Cities Skylines 2, Tomb Raider Anniversary, Tomb Raider 25th, Gears 6, another one there, Tekken 8, Titanfall 3, okay, shout out to that, Destroy All Humans 3, Crisis 4, is Crisis 4 about to have a crisis incident?
I doubt it. They've sort of fixed their shit since Crisis 1. So.
All right, so we're not going to have another Cyberpunk soon. Okay, good to know. Resident Evil 4 Remake, hopping over there. We've kind of known about that one for a while. Final Fantasy 7 Remake for PC. Final Fantasy 9 Remake. That, and keyword, it did specify remake. So I was like, ooh, that's potentially a big one there.
I'm sort of curious why 9. I mean, I always knew 7 was big. I didn't realize 9 was as big as it was, with its weird cast of people.
What's the one behind you? Is that 10?
Yes.
Okay, never mind. I didn't know if that was 9 or not. I couldn't remember.
Nope.
I'm not a Final Fantasy guy, so I couldn't remember. I just knew that display was one of them. Chrono Cross Remaster, Shin Megami Tensei 5, and Catherine Full Body for PC. No Persona 5 mentioned though. That's one that is currently still only on PlayStation 4 at this time. BioShock RTX Remaster. Mirror's Edge RTX Remaster, but Batman Arkham Knight RTX Remaster, and there was a couple games that was listed that has been confirmed since this leak. Like this leak only happened this week, and since that, then there has been a couple games announced, like Outcast 2, Destroy All Humans 2 remake, both of those being at the THQ Nordic 10th anniversary event that took place this week, and Brothers in Arms, which I know for Destroy All Humans 2 remake, that was one that you were actually kind of excited for.
Yes, because Destroy All Humans was a very good
I love it.
series.
I love it.
Until I forget which one. I think it was the third one, which sort of killed the series. Everyone sort of fell off, and then the game just disappeared till last year.
Well, maybe with the second one, with the remake, keyword remake, not remaster, remake. They're trying to maybe kind of bring some life back into it. But like I said, though, when it comes to this list, this does not even scratch the surface of what all was on here. Like, I've only picked out some what I consider key titles.
Yeah,
I mean, there was so much more. I know there were. I want to say there was no mention of Halo 5, or it was like Halo 5 was on there, because as of now, all like the other 4 Halos in Reach are on PC currently. I don't remember which one it was, but I do know like Microsoft came out and said don't expect Halo 5 on PC anytime soon. Nvidia also did come out and say that this list is real. They did confirm, yes, that is a real list, that is our database, but they did say that the games are speculative at this point, which is fair, because I mean, this, in this database they also had some older listings. For example, does anyone remember what was supposed to be the next big AAA title, Scalebound, that got canceled? That was on here. So I mean, this is very speculative. I mean, we don't know what's all going to come out of this. Some of this could be them just like testing to see if this is a game that they want to do, whatever. I feel like we could probably handpick some in here and say, yeah, that's coming out. Like Kingdom Hearts 4, let's be real, that's coming out. We know that's going to happen.
Is it?
I mean, come on, it's gonna happen. People need their Disney cringe of Kingdom Hearts.
I was about to say Kingdom Hearts 3 was pretty cringy. I don't know. Some people fell off from it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, some people embrace that cringe. I am not one. Gears 6, that's one that we can go ahead and expect to happen. Now this is more your domain here. Tekken 8, Street Fighter 6. I'm assuming those would for sure. I would safely assume those would happen. I would assume those are being worked on.
Tekken 8 possibly, because it's been a couple years since Tekken 7, and it's no longer getting any kind of content update, just live service updates. Street Fighter, I don't know, maybe. I don't stick up with Street Fighter. I know the scene's still pretty consistent in it, so maybe.
Bless you.
Thank you. Besides that, yeah, no. Tekken could use it. Street Fighter, I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realm of seeing a new one, but I know its scene's still pretty strong.
Right. Now, you're a big, Apex Legends player. Do you think that that Respawn would also go ahead and do like a Titanfall 3? Because we know Apex is within the Titanfall universe. They've already confirmed that. Titanfall 1, great game. Titanfall 2, fun game. Titanfall 2, while it still has a very tiny community, it's still there. I mean, if I hopped on, I think I have it for PS4. I'll only have I think it'll have probably 1,000 players on there. I mean, it's small. Titanfall 2 also, what I've heard recently, is pretty much unplayable. The game has been hacked top to bottom, where it is completely unplayable and dangerous, mind you. Because the hacking is so bad, it could fuck up your console or get your private information and stuff, because apparently Respawn doesn't fuck with it anymore, and that's the problem, where the hackers are running rampant because Respawn doesn't touch the game anymore. So once I heard that, I was just like, okay, well, that possibly kills any chance for a Titanfall 3. So seeing Titanfall 3 on here, it just makes me think that they were just looking at it. I don't know. I just feel like Respawn right now, they're enjoying their money basket of Apex.
I mean, I feel like that was because, as you said, this has a lot of older games on there that are no longer or out of commission now and no longer being developed. And actually, in some Apex interviews, they've actually mentioned that Apex was initially, the starting point was a possible Titanfall 3, which fell into a different line and became Apex. So that could be data from back when they were testing stuff and looking at whether they were going to go Titanfall 3 or what ended up eventually becoming Apex. Because a lot of that stuff was there. So, I mean, as you said, right now, currently with Respawn and EA's just current focus on stuff, I don't see Titanfall 3 being an actual thing, and think it might possibly actually be from just
the past
when they were playing with stuff, and building Apex and stuff like that.
See, while I loved the first 2 Titanfalls, I'm very much on that boat with you. I feel like seeing Titanfall 3 is just them testing around, seeing what they wanted to do. I just feel like what you just said, I feel like they're pretty satisfied with what they're going on right now with Apex. And plus Respawn's the one that's also doing the Star Wars games.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. But I mean, this is a very interesting list. Like I said, a lot of games that are just unconfirmed at this time, unannounced, and big titles. Kingdom Hearts, Tekken, Street Fighter, Gears, Titanfall, Crisis, the Resident Evil, Final Fantasy, of course, that 9 remake caught some eyes. So I mean, like, dude, this is like the biggest gaming leak in history, in my opinion. There was also the code name for like the next Call of Duty called Codename Cortez, I believe it was, which that's the one that Infinity Ward is doing, because they swap off every year.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, it's supposed to be a sequel to the 2019 Modern Warfare, to my understanding. So I mean, it's whatever. I don't give a shit. I'm so far past COD.
I mean, the only thing from this list, at least you have here, that I need more about is Payday 3, since we know that's an actual thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know you're a Payday guy, so. No, I mean, dude, super interesting list. I mean, what about what are your thoughts on potentially getting a BioShock next year? You're a big BioShock guy. Shout out to the display behind you. There's only 3 BioShocks, right? Yeah,
there's only 3 BioShocks. I mean, I would be completely hyped with a new BioShock. I mean, I had fun with BioShock Infinite, but it was sort of in a lackluster point compared to 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, overall it was fun, but the overall story sort of lost a lot of people, especially with the whole end multiverse thing, which got really weird.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't be against the new BioShock. I would be curious where they would go with it, seeing as they went from the sea to the sky, and whether they'll go somewhere else or they'll try and recreate a new city under the ocean.
I still think it's funny, your story for how you almost did not play BioShock initially.
Hey man, Fear fucked me up.
Yeah, so the story was you just finished playing Fear and you tried BioShock because it was like, cheap or free or something, right?
Well, no, what it was I had been playing, because this was back when Gamefly was a thing.
Oh, okay.
Is Gamefly still a thing?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Shout out to Gamefly. They're standing the test of time.
Well, I had Gamefly back then, and I had gotten Fear from him. So I had been playing Fear for like the last couple weeks.
Right.
And I finally sent it back, and they sent me BioShock, which was still fairly new. I think it was still the first month of BioShock being out.
Uh-huh.
And the initial scene of BioShock is the whole plane crash, everything. You swim in the water and go to the tower, and you walk in the tower, and it's just pitch black in there. You open the door, it's just pitch black, and you see a single light, and just because I've been playing Fear so much, I went, fuck that! turned off my console, and went and did something else for the rest of that evening. Then I came back like a couple days later and went, I guess I could see what happens. And then it just goes through this whole thing. I was like, oh, that wasn't really as bad what I was expecting.
I love that reaction of, okay, nope, fuck that. Turn off the console. I'm done. No, thank you. Oh, that's funny, man. That's funny. Well, I mean, I want to also double down on this with the PlayStation only games that we have on there. I'm gonna go ahead and double down on it. I truly and honestly believe we're gearing up for a Sony client. I really do, man. I mean, if they're bringing some big titles like God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Returnal's becoming a bigger one, Demon Souls, of course. Man, I'm telling you, go ahead and put money on it at some point. Maybe it might be next year or something. I think we're gearing up for that Sony client that we've talked about. It makes too much sense from Sony's perspective. You know what I mean? To have their own client where it all just goes to there, so they don't have to split any profits with Steam. So I gear up for it. It's happening.
I wouldn't be surprised, because Sony's been slowly these past couple years just being more open and allowing their titles to go over to other things. So them expanding over to PC and having their own client and whatnot would not be surprising at all, and would stick in Sony's wheelhouse of, yes, we will share now, but it's still ours.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that does it for the show. We hit everything that we wanted to hit for our talking points here today. Zach, do you have any last thoughts on anything that we talked about? Any, last GameCube shout outs, any Nvidia thoughts, anything, any more Deathloop thoughts you want to throw out here before we get out of here?
I mean, I think the funniest thing is Nvidia going, just someone was able to get to the database just by cracking their Nvidia. And I'm pretty sure Nvidia went, well, no one's going to crack it. They're buying it to play games. Why the heck would they crack it? They're just going to play games. And just that one bored bastard going,
let's unlock this.
I bet I could crack this. I wonder how well this would run if I cracked it.
And then the biggest database in gaming history. All sorted by the publisher and everything, man.
It's the Fapageddon all over again.
Yeah. I mean, and also one last tidbit on that. Like, there was a lot of other listings that are just like untitled insert publisher name.
Yeah.
Like, I know there was one for Respawn. It said untitled Respawn game. So like I said, if you guys get a chance, go look at this list. You can find it on Reddit. You know, you just go on Twitter, look it up, look up Nvidia leak, whatever. Go on Reddit and find it. You can find the list for yourself. I mean, it's massive. It's huge.
Yeah.
But yeah. Any other thoughts on anything that we talked about here today?
I mean, I got no other thoughts for the episode. I do just want to say, like, comment, subscribe, rate, whatever your platform allows. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can hit the subscribe button. It would greatly help us. And if you actually like what's going on and hearing us talk about whatever it is this week, depending on what cast it is,
Depending on what we want to do.
yeah, you can hit the bell. It'll notify you anytime a video goes up or a clip goes up, and you can do that at youtube.com/Sparky3. Thank you.
Yeah, and what that is one little neat thing that we're going to start doing more is we're going to start just throwing in more just kind of bullshit content of whatever we want to talk about. So look forward to that. But what was your thoughts on the Nvidia leak? I mean, like I said, one of the biggest gaming leaks in history, if not the biggest. Was there any titles on there that caught your eye? You know, are you kind of in the same boat with us where you just think Titanfall 3, for example, is just an older listing? How many of these are actually going to happen? What was your favorite GameCube game? Shout out to 20 years to the GameCube. Up until the Switch has come out, GameCube was always my favorite console.
Yep.
This only reason the Switch might be now is because the Switch is an awesome catalog so far, and the catalog's going to keep growing. I'm all about the games more than anything. But you know, what was your favorite GameCube game? What's your thoughts on Deathloop? Would you consider it maybe a Game of the Year contender? I've seen some people clamoring about that already. You know, so just let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. You know, like he said, youtube.com/Sparky3. Let's keep growing the channel. We would definitely greatly appreciate that. Like, comment wherever you are, and then of course be a friend, tell a friend. With that said, until next time, guys, hopefully you guys have a phenomenal day. Make sure to check out this episode next week as well. Later.
Bye.